Hello there again, dear YouTube community. Hello, ladies and gentlemen interested in knives. Today I have a new review for you, and it is about the SRM 7228 or a 7228 knife. Now I'm just going to unbox this. It comes in a very simple cardboard box. We have some foam, some padding. We've got this little, well, probably a brochure showing you some other products from SRM. And of course, you've got your knife right here. This is the SRM 7228 folding knife. And it features an axis lock, which is called Ambi-Lock by SRM. My first impression of this was, ooh, that's heavy. Really, I mean, if you take this into your hand, it's going to feel rock solid, because I suppose it's a small knife. Just take a look at the comparison. It's about the size of a real steel Luna, which I've got right here. Although the Luna, of course, is much slimmer than the SRM is, if you just compare them side by side. What else can I show you? I've got a Spyderco Dragonfly here, as well as the ANV A200 that I've reviewed during my last video. My Cold Steel 8015 right here, and just to top it all off, I'm going to show you my Cold Steel large Espada as well, right on top here. As you can see, the SRM 7228 is not a large knife, it's a compact folding knife. Blade length is just about 7 centimeters, and the weight comes in at 73 grams. It is, interestingly, just about 10 grams lighter than the ANV A200 is, which offers a much longer blade and a much longer handle. That is due to the manufacturing process, which is a little bit better for the A200. Now, this knife here comes in at around 40 euros here in Germany. Unfortunately, it is not legal to carry it in Germany because, well, it's a one-hand opening folding knife. About the quality, about the blade, let's start with the blade now. You've got this long saber grind right here, which is done pretty well. It's almost perfectly symmetric, and especially given the price, I think this knife came out of the box with a much better grind than my Spyderco Dragonfly did, or my ANV A200 did. Just for your information, I think those Chinese knife makers like SRM or Real Steel, they're doing a very good job at their quality control by now. You've got this very can I say? You've got a kind of a narrow tip, like it's not a stabby knife if you want that, but it's a tip you can work with, and I think it's pretty robust. It's a robust blade. It has got its full thickness all the way to about half of the blade, and then it starts dropping into the tip. It came shaving sharp. There's absolutely nothing to criticize about the sharpness of this knife when I took it out of the box. And apart from that, the blade is made out of D2 steel. Now, I think D2 is a little bit of a win and miss situation when it comes to Chinese manufactured knives, but overall it's a decent steel, especially in the lower price range. You're not going to do anything wrong with that. You've got this thumb stud here, which is actually working pretty good. Nothing I can really criticize about it. And if you want to regrind the blade, or if you want to strop it somehow, you just screw it off and give it a good strop and then screw it back on again. It's going to be easy, not challenging at all. How about the handle? The handle is manufactured out of G10 material. It offers a slight but not aggressive texture. Like really, it's you can feel it, but it does not like bite, and it's probably not going to eat your pans as fast as cold steel's texture. You're going to be fine there. I think the colors are very beautiful. This is yellow and black, as you can see, but you can also get this in orange and black and blue and black, which is a nice combination, I think. The handle is okay. It offers a good grip. It's not a narrow handle. A little bit short probably for people with larger hands. But for me, with about size 8 gloves, it's fine. I get all my fingers onto the blade, very solid grip. It's not as comfortable as as the grip on the A200, for example. This one just really melts into my hand, but it's decent. It's decent. I really can't say anything against it. What else can I tell you about it? That's pretty much it. It's a well done handle. That's all I can say. Now the pocket clip right here, it is a deep carry pocket clip. It's a stiff spring, and it should be theoretically ambidextrous. Now SRM, they've got this great concept that you can just push these two together and then, look at this, it's working. And then you can pull the pocket clip out, it hooks into the G10, and you turn the knife around and you put it in at the other side. But I can already tell you, doing this without any tools is really difficult. Now, because the pocket clip, it is so stiff, it's really hard to get in between the two layers. And look at this, I managed to get it in. Now you put it on the other side. It's a great idea, but please, SRM, it doesn't have to be that stiff. Seriously, you're going to have a hard time here. But it works, and I think it's a great concept for a pocket clip because, as I said, it works out perfectly fine. What else is there to say? Well, the lock, of course. I'm a huge fan of axis lock knives. I think this is basically the best locking mechanism, the most easiest, and it's easy, it's ambidextrous, it's just intuitive, and therefore I think that the axis lock is the best overall locking mechanism on the market right now. Unfortunately, Benchmade had an exclusive patent for these axis locks for a long time, which ran out now, which is why other companies started to make axis lock knives, and SRM is one of them. They offer their Ambi-Lock in multiple blades, multiple different blades, longer blades, shorter blades. Just have a look around. I'm pretty sure you're going to find something. It's for a budget, and it just works out really great. The action on this axis lock is perfect. Probably due to the combination of nylon washers and phosphor bronze washers in here. I would have preferred phosphor bronze washers only, but I guess you're going to have to make some compromises at this price point. Although, SRM, please just do that. But the action is very smooth. Although you're going to notice, if you just flick it out of your hand, it's not going to work out because the Omega springs in here are a lot stiffer than on the Benchmade, for example. You can do it, but it takes a lot more force, and of course, you can just flip it by pulling back on the lock and flip the knife open. Very smooth action, absolutely no blade play in whatever direction. And also I did a little spine whacking test to make sure that the access lock is not going to slip back and allowing the blade to come shut on your fingers. It held up pretty good. It's solid. There's absolutely nothing I can criticize. The only thing I would criticize is the assembly of the knife. Now, I have disassembled other access lock knives, I've disassembled the Benchmade bug out, I've disassembled the ANV A200, and this one right here is really, really fiddly. There's lots of different parts that I just dropped in freely and tend to fall out, like the like the screw, like the counter screw back here, this lanyard hole, the liners themselves, of course, and there's the backspacer in here, which is also loose, and there's one more pin inside the backspacer that they've added for whatever reason, and then of course the blade pin in the front, and they just tend to fall out if you take it apart. And also the Omega springs, they're not only much stiffer than on the Benchmade, they're also like bent in a different way right around the axis, which is why it's very hard to get them off the axis to put the liner assembly in here back together. About the liners, they're one reason why this knife is really heavy compared to its size. You do not only have the liners in the front portion of the handle here, like you do on the A200 or the Benchmade bug out. The liners are basically going just right into the back of the knife, which offers you one advantage. This only uses 2 screws for the handle to being put together, and I think that is good. The less screws, the better. They're both T8 Torx screws, and yeah. But since the liners are much longer and the G10 is really massive, you've got some tiny cutouts in the back, and that's why you come up with such a pretty high weight for a small Ambi-Lock or access lock knife. The access lock knives are, I think, due to their construction, it is really, really easy to reduce their weight, and it is something that I also like about this locking mechanism. Now, to conclude this, seriously, there's absolutely nothing you can do wrong with this knife. I think the design is pretty good, and I like the looks of this. I like the handling. It's an overall solid and definitely a good knife. Thank you very much.